Make a loud noise for Nathan Barry.
All right, clicker works, that's good. So I'm the last person keeping you guys from drinks, so I'll keep this short, but hopefully we can have a good time and go through some stuff really quickly. A little bit about me. I'm a designer by trade, so I built software for years, and then more recently I wrote a few books on how to build software, and then I wrote a book about how to write books, which is a little weird, but you know. And so my passion recently has been at helping authors make money from teaching, make money from their books, and so that's what the Book Authority is about. And I also started an email marketing company specifically around helping authors do that. So that's me. And I want to start by telling you a story. And back in 2010, I went to a conference called An Event Apart in Seattle. Who knows about this conference? Anybody? Everybody know about it? It's a fantastic conference, and I was really happy to go there, and I learned a lot. But the unfortunate thing for me about this particular and it's not this conference, it's really any conference, was that I didn't talk to anyone. I could probably count maybe 3 people, 4 people that I talked to the entire 2 days. And that's just who I am. I'm fairly shy, fairly quiet. I don't seek out conversations. And so I actually didn't enjoy this conference very much because I didn't make any connections and I didn't put out any effort. And that was a total change from 2 years later when I went to a conference called MicroConf in Las Vegas. And at that conference, I didn't approach anyone. I didn't go try to talk to people, but people came up and talked to me. And at one point I was standing in this circle and somebody came up to me and said, you know, sorry, I just have to say hi really quick because if my friends back home found out that I was at a conference with Nathan Barry and I didn't say hi to him, they wouldn't let me live it down. I was like, that's the weirdest thing ever. And so something really big changed between those 2 conferences. And what it came down to is that at the second conference, I had an audience. I had a reason to get people's attention. And so I didn't have to do any work. And that was amazing because people actually wanted to talk to me. And I saw a parallel between that and the businesses that I was working on, where it all comes down to attention. And the first products that I tried to create, because I think like a lot of you, I made a lot of, side projects and that sort of thing on the side for my full-time job, and I couldn't get people to buy them. My first 4, 5, 6 side projects didn't really make any money, and all because I had no idea how to get people to pay attention. And I didn't know how to get people to care or buy or any of that. And so what I realized is the solution to talking to people at conferences was the same as getting people to pay attention to the products and purchase them. And that's all about having an audience. I'm sure there's plenty of people in this audience who have played video games before. And I found that audiences are the cheat codes for business. And so when I was speaking at a conference, talking to people, I no longer had to put out any effort because people wanted to talk to me. In the same way that now that I have a blog and have built up a following, I don't have to put out nearly as much effort to sell products because people are paying attention. And so I want to talk to you about how to build that audience to cheat at business. So let's talk about 3 basic principles of building an audience. The first one is teaching. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. But if you think about everyone you know who you follow online, people who have been speaking up on the stage before me, they all teach. And it's not something that they do as an expert or they probably don't have a degree in WordPress, if that's a thing, or any of that. They just said, hey guys, I learned how to do this thing. Here's how to do it. I learned how to make this WordPress theme. Here's how to do it. They just started putting it out there. And they didn't worry about being an expert or starting from that point. They just said, this is useful, someone else might want to know that. And you can teach about anything. Like this, for example, there's a friend of mine, his name's Sean McCabe, and he teaches people how to do hand lettering. And he's amazing at it. And this is something that it doesn't necessarily make any of his students money, but people love it, and they're happy to pay him a lot in order to learn how to do this. So whatever it is, the first step to building an audience is to start teaching. The second step is to tell a story. So it's one thing to go to type into Google, how do you do X with WordPress? It's another thing, let's say you read that article, you learn the lesson, and you're gone. But it's an entirely different thing if you start to follow the story of that person. You see what they're trying to achieve. They're trying to write a book. They're trying to grow a company. They're trying to release, a certain number of themes over a certain amount of time. They have something that compels you to pay attention for more than just getting that answer to that simple question that you did a Google search for. And so when you combine teaching with story, really remarkable things can happen. This is the reason that I think Kickstarter and sites like that have done really well, is because they've put such an emphasis on story. So a friend of mine did a Kickstarter project for a denim company that he wanted to start. And so what made this remarkable is that on the Kickstarter project, he was able to tell about why he cared so much about creating great men's jeans and why it was important to him. I don't know that the product was truly remarkable or revolutionary, but people backed it because they loved the story, and you wanted to follow that. So to build an audience, you should teach, and you should tell a story. But then the last thing is, you should build an email list, because you need a way to continue contacting these people, and you need a way to push content out to them. And you can have them follow you on all kinds of different platforms on Facebook and Twitter and things like that. But what you'll find is that the conversion rates just aren't nearly as high, and you don't get nearly the same level of engagement. And so I find that by building an email list, you're able to reach out to them directly and really tell your story and teach value over a long period of time. So those are the three principles for building an audience. And I want to give you two little shortcuts for building a profitable audience. So the first one is you should do tiered pricing. And most of my experience is in selling training products. And I think there's a lot of people here, based on Kristen's talk and other people I've talked to, who are selling courses and information products. But tiered pricing applies all across the board. And I want to show you an example of it. So the first book that I came out with is called the App Design Handbook. And I ended up selling it in 3 tiers, at $39, $79, and $169. So the basic tier is for someone who just wants the book, and they want to get started. And maybe money is an issue for them. They're a freelancer, they're just starting to learn to build apps. And $39 might be expensive for a book and a course on that topic. But then there's other people who work for companies. They've got a company credit card, and it doesn't necessarily matter how much they spend. Or they care about learning in a different format, so they want videos, they want more information with that. And there's a top tier that might be buying it for their team, or really at some point, once you have the company credit card, there's not much of a difference between $39 and $169, so long as you can make a compelling case that you're learning valuable skills and making efficient use of the company's money. So these 3 pricing tiers had a remarkable effect on revenue. So with this book, when it launched, what would have been $9,000 in 48 hours if I had just sold the book for $39 became $19,000. And so that's just over double the revenue. And I ended up refining this pricing and my methodology around it for my later books. And so I had slightly higher prices for Authority when it came out, and I thought this was really interesting. This is a breakdown of sales versus revenue for each of the packages. And so on the left side is the breakdown by sales count. So 48% bought just the book, the lowest package, and then 26% bought each of the other two packages. But then when you look at revenue, you see that the highest priced package produced 60% of the revenue. And so this has been truly remarkable. And with each of my books, so the first book, it doubled the revenue, and the next two books, using tiered pricing like that, tripled revenue. And so I don't know of very many other things that you can do in your business that can have this kind of effect as some really good pricing tiers to segment between, I guess, the different levels of your audience. The other thing that I think you should do is add email courses for automatic sales pitches. So on one of my book pages, you'll come across something like this, and it's to get a free sample chapter. And if you want, you can just click the graphic and it'll download the PDF right away. Or you can put in your email address and we'll send it to you. Maybe you want to read it on your iPad and get it sent to you. And if you leave that box checked, then you'll get a series of emails over time. And what those emails have is more content on the book. You know, here's things you might want to know. Here's more training. And then it just gradually gears up to having a sales pitch in there. So it reminds people to come back and buy. And so you might think of, you're browsing, I don't know, Hacker News, something like that. You come across a book that seems interesting. You click on it, that's cool. You click to download the sample chapter, and you never think about it again. And so an email sequence like this, I think this one's 8 emails over 30 days or so, keeps delivering value, building up trust, and reminding you to come back and buy. And so you don't have to just do this for books and training. You can do this kind of thing for software. You can think anything where you can think about, what does my customer want to learn? How can I help them be better at their job? And you can add in little bits of training like this, remind people to come back and purchase, and it's really, really effective at increasing revenue. So that's my quick talk. I want to thank you guys for giving me some time. And I think we have time for like 1 or 2 questions. And I can't actually see anything, so. Okay.
Hi. My site sells children's toys. And so we've been thinking about bundling, and like clearly you can buy 2 toys and have it be slightly less. But I'm wondering if you have any other advice for tailoring what you've said to more like physical products that aren't, like offering people. There's only so much electronic content that we can offer people that they really find relevant.
So you said your site was toys?
Yep.
Okay. So there's a lot of price segmentation happening with toys already. Like if you think about Lego sets, for example. My son is 3 years old now. I'm now allowed to buy Legos again. There was this weird gap in my life for a little while where I wasn't allowed to buy Legos, but I can now purchase them again. But if you think about it, there's Lego sets for $20, and there's Lego sets for $150 or $300, and they're not that much more expensive for the company to produce. But they're doing price segmentation there where, there's some parents who can control their budgets, and there's some parents who, are slaves to their children who are spending $300 on Lego sets. And so there's price segmentation happening there already. So I would take some of your products and raise the price on them, in order to target a different market. But otherwise, I don't have a lot of ideas on that. Maybe if I think about it some more. I think we have time for one more question. Anybody? All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.